and welcome to Intuitive Nature, the podcast. My name is Susan Jane, and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop, and trust your intuition through meditations, readings, and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose.
Hello everyone and welcome to Intuitive Nature, the podcast. I'm Susan Jane, the Intuitist, your host for the podcast. And just to give you the heads up, I am going through a rebranding phase, and it looks like I've picked the name The Art of Intuition because I want to actually teach you or show you different ways that you can really hone into your intuition. But today I've got this wonderful guest on. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about my background story for meeting this lovely Darlene. Her name is Darlene Buchanan from Canada. I just want to tell you a little bit of the story about it because this is how social media works and this is how the universe brings us together. I just recently had a birthday and she wished me a happy birthday. And one of the things I do when I'm on Facebook is I always like to acknowledge those who have acknowledged me. It's one of those things that I do. Now, I have to be honest, there was quite a few acknowledgements for my birthday. It was a big one. And it took me 5 hours to respond to everybody. But while I'm doing that, I'm having a look at the different people. And I looked at Darlene's profile and she had the most amazing little memes and sayings and feel-good expressions on there that I just needed to connect a little bit more with her. So I asked her if she'd like to be on, because of her spiritual background, well, what appears to be a spiritual background in her profile, I wanted her to be on the podcast. Now, Darlene she's not here to sell anything. She doesn't have a business outside that. She's been a nurse for almost 40 years. So she's just come on to give you a bit of an understanding of how you can maybe kickstart your intuition or start looking at your journey in life and going a little bit deeper. So that's the story behind Darlene. But what I'm going to do is bring Darlene on, and I want her to tell you a little bit more about her as well and what she's done and how she's done it. So Darlene has been a nurse for almost 40 years. As a young girl, she knew that there was things happening, couldn't understand it quite, what was going on. And in her 30s, she had this strong feeling that there was more to life than what she had around her. But that's enough of me. I want to introduce you to, hang on, let me get the right buttons. I want to introduce you to the lovely Darlene. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, Susan Jane. How are you today?
I'm very well. Oh, I just need to let you know, it's 6 o'clock in the morning here, and for Darlene, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon the day before.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you that today is going to be a lovely day, even though it's halfway across the world. But Darlene, tell us a little bit more about your background when you first started to realise, or what happened as a child and how you brought that forward.
Well, thank you very much. And I have to start off by saying I'm so honored, and it is really amazing how the universe did bring us together. And I find the universe has really amazed me. But as a young child, I had these feelings, and in your innocence as a child, you don't know what they are, but they all seem to stem around a knowing of tragedies going to happen. And so that I developed so much, I think fear might have been the word. As a child, I probably didn't even recognize what it was. And I think I felt that somehow I was affecting these tragedies. So I think I really hid that or stamped that feeling down. And as I was through my teen years, into my 20s studying, those same type of funny feelings came up. sometimes you'd know who was calling, some simple things, but they all seem to be around these tragedies or deaths. And so again, I just would stamp them down. And, as we are in life, we, develop a career, we might get married and have kids. And so I was doing that. And then I get into my 30s, I had 3 children, I was busy as a nurse. And I just felt that there was something more.
Oh, hang on, we've just
Like a
lost
gerbil on
audio.
a wheel. Life
Sorry,
was just
Darlene.
very
Sorry, Darlene. We've just
mundane
lost audio a bit. Can you hear
and
me?
very
No.
structured. And so I I wanted to have not only more fun, but I had a very deep feeling in my gut or in my soul that there had to be something more out there for me. And I think I can't really say I lost myself in my family life and career because I loved both, but I wanted something more for just me, Darlene, as the person. So I began, and I didn't even honestly recognize what spirituality and intuition might be, because I think, as we all are, when we're starting a new field of study, we need to know the language or to even recognize what we're searching for. So I just began by going to lectures, or if somebody was talking about a book, I thought, that sounds interesting. So I would read the book, and I must say, I learned so much and read so much. But again, I felt that I got lost in being a seeker, because I was, I would read a book and go to a lecture, but whatever feeling I was searching for, it I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't getting it. I was excited by what I read, but when I was done reading it or done with the lecture, I wanted to go and buy more. I wanted, and there's so many wonderful authors and lecturers out there that teach us, but uh, it still wasn't leading me on the path I wanted. So I gave it up.
So
So
sorry, Darlene. So you started to get now. I relate to this because I did the same. I did a lot of reading. We didn't have the internet obviously then, so I did a lot of reading in my seeking as well. But I agree with you. What I feel you're saying is that you were so busy seeking, but
yeah,
not actually practicing or not actually realizing what you were doing. But
yes,
because I do the same, it's like, oh, that was really nice. I want more of that. That made me feel good. I want more of that. That made me. But you was constantly looking externally for
yes,
this information.
yes.
Right. Okay. So what did you do then?
Then I had to almost what I call let go of that, because it didn't seem to be leading me anywhere, and it was leading to me to more frustration. And then I don't know how to describe it. I, had some events in my life that, I found very difficult to deal with. And although I didn't recognize it at the time, there was always these people that, and I call them earth angels, and I'm probably going to get emotional, but who always seem to be there in your most difficult times, that just said or did the right thing, that gave you a lift. It might have only been a momentary lift if you were going through a hard time, but it lifted me up. And at first I didn't recognize what was going on, but as this continued, it started to open up something inside of me that was starting to say, wow, then maybe all those books that I read, although they gave me knowledge, maybe there's something to the fact that what I'm feeling, maybe it's the feelings or something inside of me that really is going to be the key to unlocking what I'm looking for. And that was really a big aha moment for me. And I guess I can describe it this way. I suffered a deep betrayal by somebody that I really, had deep respect for, and it was extremely painful. And you know how we hang on to pain, we just lock the gates around our hearts so tight that we don't let anything or anybody in. But as I was going through that, these feelings inside were saying, you can't live like this for the rest of your life, because when you're locked up, even when you're in a grocery store or on your walk, you feel a different feeling. You feel very removed from life. So I knew it wasn't the right way to be, but I didn't know how to fix that. And then one day and I'm not sure if you hear it, but I think I hear it or sense it. Something just said, let go. You've survived it already. Let go. And this undescribable moment of peace came over me, and I felt broken open. And what it did for me is open something in my heart, and I just felt a greater compassion for the world. But also, I realized in that moment that I am the world. And when we're saying to give service to other people and to love other people, I'm part of that. And that was a big moment for me, that I realized I am enough. I am worthy of that as well.
Yes, because we so often can give to others, especially people that are empaths or empathic. They can give. I can give without any worries. But when it comes to give to myself,
yes,
we struggle with that. We can really, really struggle with that. And it often will take a life event like you're talking about, that real negative aspect, to make us flip and go, no, hang on, we've got to look at it a little bit differently, don't we?
yes, yes.
Yeah. And it's in that time of pain, or in that time of when you say you're feeling it, that the biggest differences, the biggest changes can happen.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And sometimes I'm not even sure, Susan Jane, if we're conscious of it when we start out. You just get those little, almost like a feather in your gut or a little butterfly when something starts to, when you feel something, and it can lead you. And so I just started to think, wow, when I get these little feelings, I'm going to start following them. And at first, I wasn't really great at it, because I think I followed some of those feelings or intuitions that I had, or inside knowings, but some of them I know that I did not. But the ones that I followed, just led me another step forward. And whether it was a teacher that came along, or even can be as simple as walking in nature and just stopping and noticing something beautiful like a butterfly or a bird. And again, it just gives you that lift. And
Yes.
yeah, and I think those little steps are leading us to our intuition, but I think that it also is a way to lead us to know ourselves better, and to know deep down that we are love. We are love, and that's what we have to give the world. And what we have to offer is enough.
Yes, exactly. And we can only offer what's inside of us. If
Yeah.
we've got love, then we can put that out there. If we haven't, then it's really challenging to put that out there. So we need to fill our own cup first, fill ourselves with love, and then we can gush it out everywhere.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
look, some of the things you said, Darlene, which I really, really liked. I loved how you talked about you had to learn the language first,
Yes.
and that was part of the readings and part of going to workshops and getting in touch with like-minded people and learning the language. And one of those areas that I really struggled with was learning the language. In our time, we didn't have, like I said, the access to the internet, so you were restricted to a certain degree.
Yes.
Whereas what I'm finding now is that we have so much information that it's become the opposite. We've become overwhelmed. There's too much of it, and people have their own spin on different things.
Yes.
So we've sort of done the whole 360 almost, and this is where this podcast is more about just getting back down to the tin tacks and how it really does feel for different people. But the things that I picked up in what you were saying is, apart from learning the language, which is a really big thing, and getting at the understanding of that, I've noticed in some of the women's groups and the women's circles with intuition and spirituality, what I have found happen is they tend to go very, very woo-woo, very, very out there. And it becomes so broad that we lose our grounding, we lose where we need to be. And you were just saying before that even walking in nature, watching a butterfly, that's all part of that grounding experience, and allowing that your intuition to be able to open up. You're giving yourself that time and that space. And again, the triggers can be these horrific events that we have to experience and that we go through to make us do that. Now, people that don't experience horrific events usually means that they are aware of it, and so they don't need to have an experience to make them flip.
Yes.
And when I've done a lot of dream analysis and things like that, I have said, my partner had a dream the other day. It was a real crazy one. And I said to him, he said, I think I've had this dream before. And I said to him, well, you may have had it before. You've not acknowledged it. So it gets a little bit more out there each time. And I think this is similar to our experiences in life. If we aren't acknowledging it, the experiences are going to be stronger and stronger and stronger until we do, because often it's, you may have found with your betrayal that you had a couple of other betrayals and you weren't aware of that.
Yes, yes.
And it wasn't until the big one that it goes, oh, okay, now the wheels are falling off. I'm not happy with this.
Yes.
So it takes that before you do the change. So I really love that. But what are you doing now, Darlene? So you've gone through, you experienced it in childhood, you experienced it in your early 30s. So I know parenting brought a lot of it back up from my childhood. When I started having my own children, those spiritual and intuitive messages started coming through a lot stronger again. So now your children are older. They left home. They're still with you. What stage of life are you at? That's probably what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yes, I have 3 children. They're all in their 30s, so they have left home. So even more so now, I have, even though I still work full time, I have the time to still explore different things and to get down to a deeper knowing of myself. And again, that comes to us. And I guess I'm going to read a little thing. As you said, I love putting positive messages on Facebook. And it says, the answers to your problems lie all around you. The keys to your self-discovery are waiting to be found in each sunset, each pair of eyes, each breath of fresh air. Listen to the symphony of life, and you will hear yourself. Find the beauty of nature, and you have found your soul. And you're right, Susan Jane, it's not easy. I remember when I was seeking, I asked this lady who just seemed to have it all together, and she said, well, when you get it, it'll just be wonderful and your life will just be totally different. And I thought, okay, thank you. But that doesn't give me any answers. So I kind of thought, wow, obviously it's simple, and obviously I'm not there yet because I haven't found that. But I can tell you of different experiences, I guess, in life, but as a nurse, where we have to rely on that inner knowing, because in science you don't have all the answers. And I can tell you from being a nurse that it's rare that you ever find a textbook answer to the patient that's in front of you. So you do have to rely on it. And I had this really sick man, and he had to be transported. And the transport team were in a different language than he was. And you know, I knew that he trusted me because I had spent several days and weeks with him. And when he got on the transport plane, I got on first, you know, to get him organized. And he grabbed my hand when I was about to leave and he said, Darlene, how do I know I can trust these people to keep me alive till I get where I'm going? And I thought, wow, what am I going to say to this man? Because he's right. And I don't know these people, you know, I mean, I guess can I just tell him they're medical people so they know? And then all of a sudden, I kept hearing eyes. Tell him about the eyes. And in that moment, it was just like that. I thought, I just said to him, look at the doctor's eyes. Look in his eyes, and you will see that he will look after you. And I mean, the doctor must have had a funny feeling because 4 pairs of eyes turned and looked at him. But this patient must have felt it too, because he relaxed and he let my hand go. So it's simple things like that, you know, although it might not sound easy, are there, and they are. And I think as humans, I thought, can only speak for myself, that miracles were great, big, huge events. But miracles to me are those little moments in life like that, when you touch another human being to the depth of their heart or soul, and it helps them.
Absolutely. What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I got goose pimples. It was lovely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and how reassuring for that poor man who, like you say, you're going from one where they felt trusted and loved to somebody else, and what a reassuring way to help them.
Yes.
And that's not in the textbooks. You're right. That's not in the textbooks.
No, it's not.
You've just got to follow your gut.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing story. And so you've got older children now. Do you help them much with their spiritual journey? Do you do anything with them?
You know, they're all at different levels.
Yes.
I kind of laugh because my son kind of says, I don't believe in that stuff, Mom. You know, but I do feel that he probably is more in tune with life than he realizes. He's, you know, he's a musician, and I feel that he is, because he's creative, and that has to come from somewhere. And you know, I have 2 daughters and a son. My son's the youngest, and my oldest daughter is very intuitive, although she doesn't call it that, but she has a very strong sense of animals and when they're sick. She has a very strong feeling on that. And my middle daughter, you know, loves animals, and she, I think, does it more through nature. She just seems to know things in nature and what they represent, and, you know, about the environment. So they don't have strong feelings. I think that we don't it isn't a big thing for them as it is for me, but I do feel that, you know, and maybe that is for the younger generation, that they don't speak it the same with the language you and I might use, because I think they are more exposed to technology, and maybe they use a different language, but I think that they are very knowing and very creative, and I think they are going to change the world in amazing ways.
Yes.
And it is to trust yourself, and that is a big thing, because it's not something we're taught as a traditional way of learning.
We so often we're looking for that external feedback, you know, with especially with social media and things like that. We're looking for that external feedback. You know, that's what they're doing. They look happy. Why aren't I? Or we go to that person or follow this person or follow that to try and get that external feedback that we're okay. But the problem is when we're starting to do that, we're starting to judge ourselves amongst those people that we're seeing, and we're only seeing snippets of them, whereas we know all of us. I know all the ugly bits as well, but I don't know the ugly bits of somebody else on Facebook. And if I do and I don't like them, I unfriend them. So, but I can't unfriend me. I'm here. So yeah, so we're all out in the open for everyone to see. But yeah, I've got 3 kids too, and mine, my son's exactly the same. He's actually quite in tune, but doesn't use our language. It's too woo-woo for him.
Yes.
And my 2 daughters, it's actually my younger daughter that sort of has encouraged me to speak up. She said, you've got a lot to show people, a lot to teach people, put it out there for them, because I had the opposite impression. I had the attitude that because we struggled to get information, we had to buy books or go through the library and get the books. We struggled to get the information we wanted. There's no struggle for that anymore. And so it was her attitude or her thoughts or advice when she turned around and said, but Mum, there's so much information out there. We don't know what to believe anymore. We don't know where to go and what to do. So she said, we're so busy looking externally that we forget to look internally. And what you're teaching people is to go inwards, to go internal, and trust their gut. So yeah, it's so nice to watch your kids doing it, and they're not aware that they're doing it, but they're still doing it anyway. And you sort of go, yeah, whatever.
And it is so true. And I think the big step is knowing ourselves and loving ourselves.
Yes.
And we all, I'm sure, have struggled with different levels of that over time, most definitely, and there's people, I had a gentleman who had a neurological disease, was losing his voice, and he sang to me. And that was such a special gift because shortly after that, or I don't even know how long, he would have lost that ability. So there's the love that people extend to us that sometimes we don't recognize that that's what it is. It's showing us our true divinity, because if we weren't that beautiful soul, we wouldn't attract or recognize simple gifts of love from other people. And so it is simple as that.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, it's like when you fall down and somebody reaches down and with a hand to help you up.
Yeah,
It's simple,
absolutely.
but we have to recognize it as
even in the checkout, like we go through the checkout, and I always talk to the checkout person. You just acknowledge, how was your day? How have you been? Has it been busy? Just acknowledging that they are loved, not necessarily in the same way you love your partner or you love your children, but you respect and you love them for what they're doing.
Yes.
I had a girl actually at the checkout the other day. She was so intent in what she was doing, and the bags were getting sort of heavily dropped, but not like heavily put down. And I said to her, oh, you seem a little bit upset. Is everything okay? You're having a bad day? And she went, oh no, I'm just focused in what I'm doing. And I went, oh, okay, that's all right. From there on, the bags went down gently. You just acknowledge that, yeah, you can have a bad day, but you don't have to sort of go, stop throwing my bags down. There's ways to do it. We can do it with love. We can,
Yes.
and that's what you're saying. It's those simple things that the intention behind what you're saying and how you're saying it is given with love. The intention of seeing a butterfly go past you, you look at it with love. It's so beautiful and so easy. And hey, there's other days when you want to go to the butterfly, but you don't. You sort of go, no, that's my stuff, not theirs. But yeah, it's really good. Okay, so we've talked about the language, which I really enjoyed, getting that understanding of the language. We've talked about how events in your life can trigger those turnovers. So because the listeners of this podcast are often the younger ladies, they could be experiencing relationship breakdowns. They could be experiencing childbirth or pregnancy or trying to fall pregnant. So a lot of these life things that are happening to them, get an understanding there's a reason behind it. Go within and find it. Find the reason. Get an understanding. Start to listen. And then we talked about the knowledge. We can get so much knowledge, but until we actually start to experience it or feel it, knowledge is just knowledge. It's like learning to ride a bike. You can read about how to ride a bike, but until you get on that seat and start going forward, you haven't actually done it. And this is where a lot of it happens in our realm. And if you don't do it, you have learned the knowledge. You don't do it, you will get the experience, I can assure you. And it's not always nice. But we survive, don't we?
We survive. We do survive. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, thank you, Darlene. I loved the story about looking into the doctor's eyes. I think if we do that a little bit more often when we're going to any healthcare worker, I think that's really important, because not only are you looking into their eyes to see what they're going through, they're looking back at you to see what you're going through. So you've got that beautiful exchange of energy. And majority of times, like you say, it's a love energy too that you're feeling. So thank you so much. Have you got anything else you want to give us before you go?
Just, people to go within. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Even if those young moms or young kids, make a meditation out of whatever you're doing. As that lady said, focus on what you're doing, let everything else go, and try to quiet the monkey mind and just be in that moment. And, it's amazing what will happen to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I call them active meditations. Like when you're washing the dishes or hanging up the washing. I used to love hanging up the washing. It was my time outside on my own. And it was, like I said, it was time to let the crap go and just allow other nice, gentle thoughts to come through while I'm hanging up the washing. So I call them active meditations, where you actually got the head concentrating on something that you're doing and allow other thoughts to come through, which is really lovely. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing us with you. How's the day over there in Canada? What was today like?
Oh, today we've had a little bit of light snow, but it's sunny. But it's a beautiful day. It really is, with the sun shining off the. And Susan Jane, it has been my honor. I thank you from the depth of my soul for this reach out, and it was my pleasure.
Oh, no, it's mine, I can assure you. I just love it. I love that we can connect worldwide like we do. It's really nice. There was a little bit of issues with the audio at the very beginning, and so, forgive us, but it's meant to be. It's meant to be.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Stay on the line. I'm going to talk to you after, but I will do my ending and then we'll go from there.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Well, that was so good. I loved the story about the looking at the eye in the eyes of the doctors. How important is that? And it's not just the doctors. It's also if you're having issues with friends, look them in the eye. Get an understanding of what's going on. So I'm Susan Jane Intuitus. Thank you again to Darlene, and thank you everyone for listening. You can connect with Darlene on the Facebook. I don't know if I forgot to ask. Hang on, let me just ask. Darlene, do you have a public profile on Facebook or a private?
I think it's public. It's under my name, Darlene Buchanan. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So you ask to be a friend. You can, if it's not public, where you can just follow, or ask to be Darlene's friend if you want to see some of the beautiful little sayings she's got on there. So she's on Facebook. I've got my Emotional Mastery Facebook group. Again, I am doing this rebranding, so there will be a few changes as we go along, so bear with me on that. But other than that, you can watch the podcast, watch the videos on intuitivenature.com.au, and we will see you next week. So I will say bye for now. I'll press the right button this time. I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye.